And we must realize it's the ending that matters. That God's thoughts toward us are good, that we might have an expected end. But he didn't say anything about the middle. And so as we endure the pain and go through the agony like being misunderstood, agony of not feeling loved, agony of being underemployed or unemployed, agony of losing a job or a spouse or a loved one. I mean real agony. I'm not talking about you lost your parking space. I'm talking about real agony that tries your soul, that pushes you to the breaking point, that you feel like you're gonna bleed through your skin. You have to know that that does not mean that you're not recovering. That recovery hurts too. Counseling hurts. Therapy hurts. Confronting old issues and digging out old wounds, that's hurtful stuff and difficult to talk about. But if we don't get to the root of it, and the recovery period may take a while, but that does not mean that we're not getting better. What it does mean that once you make a commitment to go through the process, you have to be prepared to endure the pain. Because the pain is a part of the process. Always knowing that the anesthesia to the pain is the blessed hope that we might have an expected end. And today, if you are suffering and in agony and in turmoil and feeling disconnected from the world and like life is passing you by while you wrestle with and grapple with the atrocities and the vicissitudes of life, I want you to know that tomorrow is coming. And if you can endure this moment and withstand this agony, if you can endure the darkness of the night, that thousands and thousands of years of prophetic utterances have prepared us to have one cataclysmic, dynamic, explosive, intense weekend so powerful that it would change the trajectory not only of the scriptures itself, but how we see God. That weekend had been prophesied by the prophets of old, had been seen in shadows and types, had been seen in the shadows of the Old Testament, preparing us for the weekend of absolute terror and horror. I'm talking about the weekend that Christ was crucified. I'm talking about the brutalization and the abuse of one man who took on the sins of the world. And I am not sure whether it is the nails of the cross or the beating of his back or the crown of thorns upon his head that hurt as bad as the betrayal of his disciples, the alienation from his friends, or maybe it was the absence of the favor of his father. Revelation is born out of loyalty. You're not really my covenant brother until you've seen me in the ditch, until you've seen me bleed out, until you stood by me when others forsook me. You're not really my sister until you put flowers on my stench, until you aromatize my agony. That is the sign of covenant in crushing. And all of us crave someone who will go through with us when we don't smell so good. So the next time you read about this weekend, understand that yes, Jesus is the star. He is the leading man of the whole book. The whole book has prepared us for his entry into the world, and the angels have stood in utter awe and amazement at his entrance into human form, that he would pour out of himself his glory and honor and dwell amongst men was absolutely amazing. And then to be so much a man that he would die like a man when in fact inside he was a God was staggering. Even the apostles, in retrospect, find it difficult to articulate the magnitude of who he was. You must realize that we look at the cross as a place of worship and a symbol of our faith and the authenticity of our Christian belief. But before the cross was a place of faith, it was an execution chamber.